Welcome back to the Crypto's Key conversation. I had a whole different segment that I wanted to cover in regards to this Bitcoin spot ETF, but there was just an update that happened at the end of me kind of compiling the list that I had ready. But we're going to cover a lot of different topics within this video, but I want to hit this right now. So if you look at here, I searched in Twitter Bitcoin ETF, and the top list here was Unusual Wells and Watcher Greer. It says breaking. The SEC has rejected Grayscale's application to convert the massive Grayscale Bitcoin Trust into an ETF. US SEC denies Grayscale's spot Bitcoin ETF application. So this is absolutely massive. We were talking about how Grayscale was pretty much threatening and kind of gathering powerful legal representation in regards of whether they were getting denied or not. So they were saying they were pretty much threatening the SEC that if they reject or they reject their spot Bitcoin ETF application, that they're going to go after and sue the SEC. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen after this. And this is just kind of the update that's coming out right now. There's a bunch of different articles that's been starting to pop up, but I'm curious to see how things unfold here in regards to what's going on. And as you can see, I had a couple of different things that I was going to cover in that regard. This is from Bitcoin Archive. It says, just in, Grayscale says 99% of letters submitted to the SEC support Bitcoin ETF. So if we come down here, this was at 4:27 a.m. today. And then this one right here, it says, just in, a new spot Bitcoin ETF has launched in Switzerland, win United States. So I was getting ready to have that conversation, but as we can see, here goes the update that's happening right now. This is absolutely massive, and this is absolutely crazy because I just didn't expect this personally. Like, okay, I wasn't anticipating just any old spot Bitcoin ETF to be approved. But I thought with, the scrutiny that the SEC is under, especially when it comes to, the XRP community coming after them, Empower Oversight coming after them. Now they have, certain Congress officials coming after them, and just other different, legal bodies kind of having their eyes set on kind of the shady behavior of the SEC and kind of what's been going on. Thought they would kind of get their act together in regards of like, hey, if Grayscale is appropriate, they have a massive, Bitcoin trust. Why not convert that into an ETF? But clearly they have something else set on their agenda, and I'm curious to see how this story is going to unfold. But before I get into the rest of the content, let's quickly look at CoinGecko. We're currently sitting under $1 trillion market cap, currently sitting at 930 billion, currently down 2.2% for the day. If we come over here, Bitcoin is sitting at 20,053, Ethereum sitting at 1,093. And if we come all the way down here to XRP, we're currently sitting at over 32 and a half cents. So if we look at the 24-hour gainers, this Terra Classic USD still up 86%. As you can see, it's on the 7-day, it's up almost 830%, which is crazy. And then a bunch of other small stuff. We come over here to the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index. We're currently sitting at 11. We were just at a 13 yesterday, but we're down 2 points. So, I mean, this is merely interesting at this point. We've been living in this range for some time now. So a lot of, you can clearly see that the market sentiment is still a lot of uncertainty and fear and doubt that's going on. A lot of different narratives that are taking place. But this whole spot Bitcoin ETF stuff is crazy. I'm really excited to see how things unfold in this regard. Moving on here, wanted to start with this originally before this update came. This is from Empower Oversight, Jason Foster. It says, Jason Foster tells Johnny Deaton how the SEC chose to ignore Empower US Freedom of Information Act requests before sending some responses that turned out to be false, beginning the consistent trend that continues to this day of resistance from the SEC. Now, here we go again. We're talking about the SEC in regards of Empower Oversight going after Freedom of Information Act request that they, going after the SEC about. And obviously, this is pertinent to the Ripple versus SEC stuff. And obviously, Ripple or SEC is going against Library in litigation as well. So let's take a listen into this.
We actually had to sue the SEC for this stuff.
Yeah, well, their initial reaction was to ignore us. And then when they finally did send us some responses, some of them turned out to be false. So they told us they didn't have any responsive records. After we filed our lawsuit, we started getting documents, and we finally started getting some corrections to those previous assertions that they didn't have any records. Bucking up against, and still are, resistance from the SEC in terms of complying with our FOIA requests. They have stopped producing documents to us. They keep asking the judge for another 30 days, because they're hiding behind, well, we've got to coordinate with Simpson Thatcher and see if they have any confidentiality objections to documents. So we're running up against this, brick wall trying to get documents through the FOIA process. So we said, well, look, there's an inspector general at the SEC. They have the ability to do internal investigations. They have full access. They don't have to fight for documents. They don't have to litigate for documents. They don't have to do FOIA requests. They have statutory right of access to read every email in the SEC that they want to read. So they can get to the bottom of this very quickly if they want to. So what we said was, well, let's just tee it up for the inspector general.
So that's kind of what we've been anticipating and kind of waiting on in regards of what's going on with Empower Oversight's involvement in this whole SEC, overbearing enforcement by regulation stuff that's been happening. Continuing on here, it's from Digital Asset Investor. It says, hey, Background House, I think JP Morgan has been taking notes. So let's take a listen into this.
Well, it's interesting as you step back and look at this. If you and I decided we were going to send $10,000 to California today, the fastest way for us to do it would be to drive to the airport and fly it there. That's a crazy thing to think about when you're in the age of the internet and we're used to information on demand.
So how are real-time payments shaping the future? Put it this way. Back in 2010, the fastest way to get money from New York to London on the same day was to fly it there yourself. Now we can make secure payments in seconds in any currency to anywhere in the world at virtually no cost.
Well, it's interesting as you step back and...
Yeah, it's quite evident. And I like this tweet from Jason A. Williams. It says, breaking news, XRP does not have a CEO. You're damn right there. Mustafa, win XRP to 589. Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? This from Wheezy X right here. It says, it's scary that Valerie Shapinik can look you in the eye and say this after everything that's happened. So let's take a listen into this.
First of all, regulators aren't the ones innovating. So we're always kind of, in a certain way, reacting to what the innovations are. And we're trying not to regulate in a way that has picking winners and losers in technology or a certain technology and pushing that. We're trying to be technology neutral to allow the innovation to happen so that there's more than one solution.
Sure. This is from Austin Powers, Dr. Evil here. Yeah. This is from Blockworks. It says, just in, Microstrategy has purchased 480 Bitcoin for 10 million at an average price of 20,817. Coming over here, Digital Asset Investor says, stored energy or stored bankruptcy. Time will tell, because he's responding to Bitcoin Magazine saying Microstrategy now owns 1 out of every 161 Bitcoin that will ever exist, which is absolutely, that's pretty astonishing. That's kind of crazy to see that, this gentleman here in his company, 1 out of every 161 Bitcoins they own, which is kind of crazy. But stored energy or stored bankruptcy, time will tell. So will he be the biggest flop in history? Will he be like one of the greatest investors in history because he's just massively aggressive with it? But I'm bringing these two up because this article from Cointelegraph came out. It says MicroStrategy scoops up 480 Bitcoin amid market slump. The business intelligence firm has now amassed 129,699 BTC or Bitcoin at an average price of 30,644, according to the CEO, Michael Saylor. So I'm bringing this up because Blockchain Bagger had brought up a great point in his video today. I was kind of listening to his technical analysis and kind of his viewpoint on market sentiment and kind of what's going on. And he did bring up a good point saying, why is it where we're at this level, at these levels, why is MicroStrategy only putting 10 million in? Like when it was at, in the 60,000s, 50,000s, 40,000s, they were buying up so much more greater quantities. Like, why is it that they only put 10 million? And he would kind of throw out the notion like, maybe they're doing this to kind of lure in some retail investors, maybe kind of get a little bit, more people excited so they buy in. Who knows what the reasoning is, but I just thought that was a great kind of like food for thought type comment that he had kind of brought up, and I wanted to have that conversation here. But it is quite interesting that there's been massive purchases in higher prices, but like now we're down to these lower prices. Why only 10 million? Quite interesting. Moving on here, this is from Johnny D. Okay, so on this channel, I've talked about it video after video and just how I feel about this whole accredited investor rule or definition that takes place within the United States. And it's crazy how that theory of, the rich keep getting richer and the poor keep getting poorer, especially when it comes to this accredited investor stuff. I know there's people out there that truly aren't intelligent enough to make sound decisions in regards of the money they earn, and they will literally just blow it away. And who's going to be taking care of them? It'll be taxpayer dollars, the government kind of taking care of them type thing. I understand all that, but then the thing that's crazy is like we can go and take all our paychecks, right, and go blow it on a casino or blow it on what's that thing when you go buy tickets, the lottery or whatever the case is. We can blow our money on all these different other things, but when it comes to investing and startups or certain so-called only accredited investor, investing opportunities. It's just like the little people can't because our net worth isn't high enough, or we don't have enough, we don't have a high enough salary, or whatever the case is. We don't have enough assets. It's so frustrating. It is so frustrating that it's in a sense a position of control. I know for my wife and I, we worked our butts off, educate ourselves through college, got great careers, helping out society, being involved in the communities, doing everything we can, right? Working our butts off, paying our tax dollars, paying our taxes at the end, every time we get a paycheck, and then we go in and we pay our monthly expenses, and any little money that we have left over, having the ability to do what we want. So if we have that leftover money, we should be able to invest and put it in or risk it in any sort of opportunity that we want. We should have to be an accredited investor to invest in certain opportunities, because these so-called accredited investors, they have the opportunities to make tremendous gains or multiple X's on the money they invest. Yes, they're taking on high risk and they can lose it all, but it's like we can lose it all betting on black, or we can lose it all investing in a digital asset or in the crypto market right now, or whatever the case is. But he's bringing this up, and there's a conversation right here. This is Perry, I want to say that's Perry and Boring. Says, we currently have a short Bitcoin ETF and a futures Bitcoin ETF. It's time for a spot Bitcoin ETF. Johnny Deaton says, if I could change only one thing in our financial markets, it would be the accredited investor rules and definitions. Not only is it shamefully oppressive, it is an utter disgrace. Our country was founded on the idea of self-improvement and upward mobility. The rules say otherwise. I mean, hands down, man. And it's just crazy that this is the reality, especially within the United States. It's absolutely sickening. We're going to end on this one here. This is from Cointelegraph. It says, Polkadot's founder announces step towards full decentralization with a new governance model. Gavin Wood said he seeks to transform a Polkadot blockchain into a full technocracy. So I'm a big investor into DOT. I invested into DOT when initially came out, like under $3. I got, I put a certain amount of allocation in there and been accumulating ever since. And I'm curious. I'm highly excited about where things are headed for the Polkadot ecosystem. Obviously with the parachains and the interoperability and the shared governance and security, I think it's absolutely massive, and it's a staggering project. And obviously Gavin Wood, being one of the co-founders of Ethereum, smart, intelligent individual, and he's got a great team behind him. So I just kind of wanted to throw that out there for all the Polkadot and DOT fans out there. But that's the update. That's what's going on. Obviously, this denial or the rejection of the Grayscale application, it's going to be crazy. I'm excited to see kind of what happens. I really hope Grayscale wasn't blowing smoke, and I hope they really go after the SEC and fight for what's right, just like the decentralized XRP community going after the SEC, because they are not standing up for us and they are not looking out for investors. They've hurt us as investors in XRP and Ripple. So I'm glad that we have a decentralized community coming together to fight the good fight, and I hope Grayscale goes after the SEC. Make sure you subscribe to the Crypto's Key Conversation YouTube channel here, and come down and subscribe to us at Crypto's Key 1 on Twitter as well. We're excited to continue to grow these. I'm going to continue to bring great information and start this conversation with topics that are going on within the crypto market. With all that being said, stay strong out there. Be safe.